Coach, if you would just summarize the long road trip you guys had and just where the Bulldogs stand currently going into this last home stretch.
Split on the road, which is an upgrade, not probably where we wanted to do, being that we got the first one. I really wanted to win both of those after you pull off the first one. Really excited about how gritty we were to be able to fight through a little adversity. I think that's of course, we only had two, but by far one of our best wins because it was on the road and it was a tough, gritty team, and we were able to hang in there and keep fighting through a little adversity till we were able to get a win. So I was really proud of our team for that. Turned around less than 48 hours later, and we had another game, and I thought we fought like crazy. During the heat of the battle, I was talking to my team about mental toughness before the game and how you have to be mentally tough to go back to back and travel and play on such short notice. But, as I looked at the film and stuff and I look at our stats, and Caden and Avery had combined like 5 rebounds, I just don't think we had it the last 10 minutes. I mean, those guys played, I think Avery played about 48 minutes. He just didn't have the legs to rebound late in the game, and neither did Caden. And I think it hurt us. And what really hurt us was I think Scooter had 9 points in the first 15 minutes he played, but we didn't have him available in the second half due to him getting hurt. So, again, we are where we are. I think we're at 7-7, right at the upper middle of the pack in the league. But there's no such thing as second through 12th in this league. They're all the same. I mean, records are thrown out the window. We're 2 games out of second, but we're 2 games out of last. I mean, that means every team is beatable, but every team can beat you also. And so we just got to keep playing.
The first set against Jacksonville and Kennesaw, you guys were down big at the half in both of these matchups. You guys have been doing a lot better job of either maintaining a lead or staying relatively close at the half. What do you feel like has changed as far as maybe mentality coming out of the gate there?
I think some guys are stepping up. I think, lately, I think the resurgence of Caden Cooper, being able to come in the game and help change the game a little bit and eliminate people's second and third shots. That was what happened in Missouri State. Also, they had, I think, 3 rebounds in the first possession. A few minutes later, we subbed Caden and Scooter in, and immediately we just start rebounding. We start playing a little better. So I think that's helped. I think us getting out and running in transition and not playing so much in half court has helped us. And then I'll be really honest. I think Scooter Williams I think he was on a 6-game streak of scoring 15 or more, has really helped our offense because we've struggled to score this year. Defensively, at times we've been fine. We've been able to hold teams still under 1 point per possession a lot of first halves, but we just haven't been able to muster the points to stay with them. And so we've been able to do that lately. We're going to have to see what we can do with whatever group we have on the floor coming Wednesday.
Like you said, Avery's rebounding maybe wasn't where it was. It feels like his shot is maybe starting to turn the corner here. Have you kind of, noticed that as a staff? Yeah.
Crossing my fingers on that one. It has turned the corner. I mean, you're starting to see shots go in for him consistently. I think he's playing at the right speed. I think that's why you see his rebounding go up. And as you get comfortable with the pace of this level and the speed of this level, I think he's getting shots to fall. And so I'm excited about that. I'm still holding my breath on that because we haven't shot it well as a team. If we do shoot it well, we give ourselves a way better chance. But I think shooting is also about the right people taking shots. And if he's going to be able to continue to make them and get better in that area, he's one of the right people. So we got to continue that.
Back to Caden for a second. I'm curious, as a coach, do you know, when a player is able to kind of take that coaching and that messaging the right way, up until, I guess, the moment where it's time to kind of have that conversation? How do you kind of figure that out?
Well, at the end of the day, you coach them from July. And so, you see players' willingness to buy in and not buy in. And so you give a lot of players a return the benefit of the doubt because they've been here before. And you think, okay, even though I know it's a struggle right now, I think he'll buy in. But it got to a point where it wasn't looking the way it was supposed to look. And practice wasn't looking the way it's supposed to look. And I said it, I always tell people it has to be a together thing with us. And so practice got way better one week. And it was like, okay. And the attitude was really good. I felt like it went from an attitude of, why am I not playing, to attitude, I'm happy for my teammates. And when you see those two things, you say, look, you're ready, but I want the same thing that you showed all week. And when I did that at Sam Houston, he just exploded. And then I think he was even better at Missouri State. His numbers might not reflect he was better, but if you watch the last 5 minutes of overtime, they couldn't get the ball across half court because he was guarding the ball full court. And so I think he's genuinely in a really good place right now. Again, he didn't have the numbers at FIU, but we were fine for 30 minutes, and we just couldn't rebound the basketball against a team that I think they're long and they're athletic. But I've seen Caden go to another level and get rebounds. I didn't see him go to that level, and so I'm hoping he bounces back. He's got some rest. He had a day off. We practiced yesterday. We'll practice today, and we got some treatment. I hope he has some fresh legs. Him and Avery.
I know AJ's plate is a lot bigger than it was last year. It seems like he's gotten a little bit more assertive as far as scoring the ball here a little bit lately. Have you kind of noticed that, or maybe told him to be that way, I guess?
Well, I think he's been trying to score the ball a year. I'm trying to get, and I know his assist numbers are pretty good, but I think he needs to throw more assists early and open the floor up, and then once the floor opens up, and then he has the ability to get to the basket and get some one-on-ones. I think him driving in traffic, he's not the most athletic guard, is a struggle. But if he gets people involved early, gets our bigs some lobs at the rim, that's one thing they are good at. They're not great back to the basket guys, but if we throw it up to the rim, they're good at finishing at a really high percentage. And then he throws some on time, on target passes to guys like DJ and Avery, who's making shots now. We give ourselves a chance in late in games. He can be aggressive and score, but in the other way around, it doesn't work. You can't go out and be super aggressive offensively when they're not going to help. We don't shoot the ball good enough for that. And so we got to have some success on offense for him to be able to keep attacking. And so that's what we've been working with him on.
You now officially played everybody in the league after playing Missouri State and FIU, and you mentioned it. There's not a whole lot that separates second from 12th, and I mean even 2 games separates 4th from 12th. So what's been your assessment of the league now that you've played everybody for this year?
It's super tough, and I'm not surprised. I mean, every team is really, really physical. Every team has the ability to really guard. The only difference in some of the other teams is they play at a little faster pace. The pace is what separates teams. Some teams are really slow-paced teams, and they want to do more offensively, but the other teams they just want to get the ball out and run. I think that's the only difference, because every night you play, I don't care if you're playing Zach Cleveland or you're playing Bonsu from Missouri State. These dudes are really tough. We're going to play some other tough guys. I think Mustafa from Jacksonville is just a tough guard. He's a tough guy, and so everybody has those guys. It's just a preference of styles by coach, I think.
And then to touch on Jackson State a little bit more, we've lost 3 straight to them. Twice last year by 2 points. Earlier this year by 4. Seems like all 3 of those matchups have been played like in the low to mid 60s. What has it been about this matchup that it's been so close, and how can you turn the table and get the better results?
I think both teams are super defensive minded. I think they work on defense a ton. They work on protecting the paint. They work on guarding the ball. I think that's what we're predicated on. I don't think any team is trying to maximize the number of possessions we can get versus each other. I think we both do a good job of getting back using in transition and stopping others break and making the other team and playing half court. It's usually come down to the gritty things that, last year they had a guy that could take over a game, and that really helped them. And the year before, we had a guy that could take over a game, and that really helped us. And so it's just going to come down to the grit and the fight of these teams. And I don't think we shot free throws well there when we played them last time, and we didn't have the assertiveness of Scooter on the offensive end. I don't know if we'll have that this week because he's battling some stuff, but we got to find a way to score points against them, get out and get some early, easy points.
I think it was a couple weeks ago we had talked about Will Jeff's status. Is it safe to assume at this point we probably won't see him again this year?
You won't see Will Jeff anymore.
I guess just as a coach, we talked so much about his journey coming here, but just to kind of have him go through it again.
It hurts because, as a coach, you go into a season relying on what your pieces and what you think is going to be there. And we put a lot of stock into it. Maybe I had a little more confidence because I saw how Isaiah Crawford came out of injuries and battle. And, I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew early in the year it wouldn't be easy. But I thought around this time of year we would have him, and we weren't able to count on that. Luckily, we've had Avery step up and play a position he's never really played and been big for us. in that position. But I think it has, hindered this team a little bit, not being able to have more depth and skilled depth inside. A guy that can make shots. I know he didn't make them this year, but shooting is all about your legs and your base. And of course, he's battling with an injury. I thought that would come around because in the summer he had times where he shot the ball well. But just not having him, it affects the team a little bit.
Ben, you got anything?
I'm good.
All right.
You
Thanks,
good?
Coach.
I'm good.
Ben, they must be great. Ask some good questions.
They are. They're killing it.
All right, man.
Coach Brooke, we have a busy week, another road trip for us. Can you just give us a snapshot of what this week looks like for the Lady Texters?
Yeah, obviously you're playing two opponents that you played just a couple of weeks ago here in Ruston. Both teams had players that were out and have started for them, and were big pieces of what they do. So it'll be probably a completely different game than what we faced the first time. We had to clean up some things from last week, just some defensive slippage that felt like we've addressed the last 2 days in practice, and so. An opportunity to go on the road and try to find two wins in two tough places to play against two quality teams that they're fighting for position just like everybody else in Conference USA right now in February. And you're going to get everybody's best shot, and you got to show up and take care of the things that we can control.
You have a team like Jacksonville State that isn't whistled a whole lot. I guess what's the key of making sure you're going to still go up strong and maybe not necessarily look for the foul, because that's a team that's pretty disciplined.
Yeah, they're really disciplined defensively, and if you think back to our game, we played them here. I think they got out. It was like a 2-9 start. They keep you in front. They switch. They do a lot of different things to try to keep you from getting easy looks at the rim, and we've got to do a great job of reading our defense, really manipulating where they are on the floor, and then attacking and being aggressive. You can't be passive. You've got to be aggressive and attack, and we got to find a way to get some offensive rebounds. We got to find a way to get to the offensive glass. But for us, it starts on the defensive end, especially after Saturday. We weren't pleased with our defensive effort and the consistency with which we talked, with which the sense of urgency that we played with. And we've gotten back to that the last 2 days in practice. So I think you'll see a different burst of energy on the defensive end on Thursday.
To that point, I was blown away. I can't believe that Avery is third in league play as far as steals on your team. I'm just curious, where have you kind of seen her maybe take that step?
Yeah, I think she's got a knack for reading eyes, and I think you see it from her passing ability. She sees the floor well, and so she's done a nice job of finding herself in spots on rotations, whether she was the rotation out of the the ball screen coverage. She's been able to get hands on loose balls, and then just being quick to things. So we need that, and I think that was a frustrating thing about Saturday is we did turn them over a lot, but it was in spurts. It was to start the game and then to end the game. We had a lot of minutes there in between where we just didn't play with the sense of urgency on the defensive end that we needed to.
I know this group's goals are bigger than 20 wins, but what would that, I guess, just getting to that threshold obviously mean just for what this program wants to accomplish?
Every year you want to get to 20 wins, but that's not, we have not even talked about that. We want to approach these two games the way that we've done all year, and I know that sounds really boring, but that's what has helped this group stay focused. And I think from our standpoint as a staff, it's not looking ahead to anything. And yes, we do have bigger goals, but we don't get to those unless we take care of business this week. And you take care of business in practice Monday, and you take care of business in practice today. And they've done that, and we're going to, this group's been really solid in trying to stay consistent with that. And if we get outside of ourselves in any way with that, then that's where we find trouble. And so we'll try to stick to that till, this season ends.
Yeah, that kind of goes with my next question. I don't remember what road game it was, but I think you put in the recap, like you said, positive discontent, is what this group needs to follow. What does that look like?
Yeah, we've talked about that pretty much all year with this group since July of be excited about what you're doing, because what we do is really hard, and we spend a lot of hours. You think about this, we've been with this group since July, first week in July, and a lot of hours, a lot of adversity, you go back to 2 days before we tip off at Arkansas and we lose Kennedy Evans to an ACL. We've had different things go on that nobody knows about, but they've persevered through that. That's part of, being part of a team and being together for so long. You've had some great moments of excitement and success. Be excited about those, but also have a little bit of discontent of going, we're not satisfied with where we are. We certainly aren't satisfied. We had some major slippage last week in some areas, and we needed to get back to forget about game planning and go back to who we are and what got us to this point, and just staying you don't want to walk around and be grumpy all the time, and I can nitpick, and I can say, hey, we got to be better here, and here, and that's part of my job. But I also can take the other side of it too and have a good balance of being extremely positive about the things that we are doing well, and then not being satisfied and having a little bit of discontent with the areas that, hey, we're holding people to 56 a game, but I'm still not pleased with our defensive field goal percentage. How do we force more difficult shots? Yes, we're turning people over, but I think we're missing some opportunities to score out of that. How do we continue to improve and work on those things? And how do we design practice, and how do we show film and teach in those moments?
I think it was Saturday, G officially, made the most threes by a junior. I know her consistency comes in a lot of different areas, but specifically from the three-point shot, just like how appreciative are you, I guess, of that part of her game throughout your career?
It's huge, and I think for her, and we've seen this over the last few weeks, but they've come in really timely, in a timely manner, where we'd have, even go back to FIU there, where we start the game 1 of 17 from 3, and then she hits 2 huge ones that put us from 10 to 13 to 16 and really start stretching it. And same thing here. The last 2 games this week, or last week, we had 2 for 15, and then we hit the next 4, and she's a huge piece of that. And then fourth quarter again, she hits a big one from the top of the key, cuts into that lead. I think gets it to 1. So it's timely, and she understands the moment, and she understands that we trust her in that. And I think it's the consistency really shows through because she has put in the work. It'd be one thing if she was just hitting shots and she's never in the gym. She's in the gym all the time, and there's no, the work is in the dirt. There's no surprise to that. When you show up and do the work, you allow for good things to happen when that takes place.
Anything on the Zoom call?
Yeah, I got one. So, obviously, you never want to lose a basketball game, but as a coach, did you like this group having to play maybe a little bit closer game with how many blowouts y'all had?
My heart did not like that, and I didn't like. I'll say this: we needed that. We needed that. We needed to see how this group would respond in a situation like that, because I think sometimes they can. There's outside noise, and we can try to keep that at a minimum as much as possible. But let's be realistic. That's not going to happen. They're hearing it. How do we stay focused in that without? And then not be disappointed. It's conference play. We told them yesterday, you're going to have close games. We haven't had a lot of them. January 2nd and then Saturday have been our 2 closest games. And that's not normal. But don't be surprised by that. You're going to get everybody's best shot. You're going to have a night where you have a little bit of a letdown, or somebody just takes advantage of something you're doing or not doing well. And that's exactly what Missouri State did. I think we needed that, but I think we also needed to see, and I'll say this, the resolve that they had, the looks on their face, I always have a pretty good feel of where they are in timeouts, and just seeing how they are reacting or responding to what I'm saying or what our coaching staff is saying. And they had a look of confidence. We're down 8 at that third quarter break going into the fourth quarter, and they were talking by the time, I think we lost him. We were talking by the time we got to the huddle, by the time I got to the huddle after I met with our staff, and they were locked in and they were ready to go. We came out, Paris hits back-to-back threes, we get a couple of stops, force a timeout, it's a 2-point game, and then they're right back in it. And you never, I'd like to win them all by a lot, but it was good to see them in that, and then them be able to respond, and them also to know that, hey, in that moment, we knew who the ball was going to. And I didn't call timeout. I wanted to kind of see, let us get out in transition and see what we get. And then, we'll make a read. If we got to a point where I felt like we needed a timeout, I had it, but I wasn't going to call timeout and let them set their defense. And we went, we got it. We know where, NBA, our next best action, we get the ball to Paris. She goes downhill and gets fouled and gets to the free throw line. So you want to see them in those situations because we're going to see some more of them at some point, and really, really proud of their resolve and their grit. But Yeah, I don't want to lose a game. I know somebody said that to me the other day, like, hey, do you want to lose a game before you get? No, I want to win them all. Like, I want to win every game, and I want to win them by a lot. And I think this group does too. And I think Jordan said it a couple weeks ago in here post game of we just want to win. We don't care how we do it. We don't care who helps us do it. We just want to win. And I think that's been the cool thing about this group is they're trying to find different ways to win. And Saturday was one of those.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.